Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm your DJ and host, Sam Wilson Jr., and I'm here to bring you the history genre of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the history destination genre of black music, right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show, and it's a disco dance episode. Now, this lady that I'm about to introduce to you represents the Boogie Down Bronx, New York, and she now lives in Westchester County, New York. She is my friend, my classmate from PS 108 and IS 144, and we've been knowing each other for now over 48 years. And we was in room 332, the fifth grade, Mrs. Bender's class.
Bender.
And then after we graduated from the class of 78, we both went to IS 144. I was in the B's, 6B3, 7B3, 8B3. And I know this lady I'm about to introduce, she was in all of the A's and later SPE classes. Now, as I said, she is my friend, my classmate, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. So please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, my friend, my classmate. She's a mother of 2 children. She's been married for over 24 years, and she's still kicking at the ripe old age of 58. And her name is Debbie Pazienza Mellone. Hi,
Hi,
Debbie.
guys.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? That was a great introduction. Thank you.
Well, yes. Welcome to my podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. I said, I got to reach out to my classmate. We haven't talked in a while, and I saw a post on my Facebook, and you say he was looking for a kidney donor, and I said, I got to reach out to my classmate. I haven't spoken to her since the last time we spoken in 2021 when we had that IS 144 reunion chat
Yes.
on the Juneteenth.
Yes.
So I said, I got to get in touch with her and find out how she's been doing ever since. So you still look good. How have you been doing otherwise?
I'm good. Trying to stay healthy, keeping very busy. I have
Okay,
my
it's
good and
good.
bad days, but mostly good.
Okay, it's good to hear. So, like I said, we're going to have a wonderful conversation. So, let us begin, shall we? Now,
I'm
as I
ready.
mentioned, you represent the Boogie Down Bronx, New York. Now, what
Oh,
section
yeah.
of the Bronx were you were born in, and what hospital were you were born at?
I was Mars Park in the Bronx. I lived on Waysbridge Road my whole life. And I was born at Our Lady of Mercy, which is now Misericordia Hospital.
Hmm. Is that the one on 233rd Street and Bronx Boulevard?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, because
Yes.
I know the area. I once lived in that area. Me and Mom had once lived on East 226th Street and Bronxwood
Okay.
and Barnes Avenue. So I've been living in the Bronx for now 55 years, so I've been moved around a lot. So I'm originally from the village of Harlem in New York City. So
Okay.
my late mother had some friends in the Bronx, so we go around. Now,
I
I
love the
know that
Bronx.
your
I miss the
parents,
Bronx.
yes. Now, I know that your parents were not in music, so the last time we talked, your late father and your mom had 9 to 5 day jobs. What was some of the work that your late father had worked in?
So my father worked for the electrical union, and I don't know if you remember my mom. She worked at PS 108.
Ah,
She was
yes.
she was the hearing lady. She gave you the hearing test, and she was the lunch lady.
Oh,
I don't know if
well,
you remember her, Alice.
Yes. Well, the uniform I know, but I never knew that she was the lunch lady at that time.
Yeah, she used to
Wow.
take your like we had. I think we used to have to give a number, and she was the person that took your number and sent you to get your lunch.
Wow. And how many years have you been at PS 108?
I was there K through 5.
Oh, okay. Because I was only there for 1 year during the fifth grade, and I had moved to 1545 Rylander Avenue back on
Okay.
March 8th, 1975, and I've been there until the end of August of 1980. I do remember some neighbors that lived down the next building of 1565 Rylander Avenue. Charisse Navarro, I remember, and I don't know if you remember her. At, she was in
Just the
our
name.
class back then. Yes. And after that, we graduated from June of 1978. We both went to IS
Yes,
144. I
144.
was in all of the B classes, 6B3, 7B3, and 8B3. And you was in the A. So what class were you in? Were you in
I
6A1?
know. I think it was A1. I had Mrs. Edmond as my. She was my homeroom teacher and my music teacher. Do you remember her?
Okay. Yes, I remember her. And I believe you was in the SPE classes?
Yes, some of them. Yes.
Okay. And after we both graduated from IS 144, I went to Truman High School in Co-op
Hmm.
City. Now, which high school did you went to?
I went to Columbus High School.
Oh, okay. And after that, which college did you go to?
So I didn't go straight to college. I went to secretarial school after high school. It was a 9-month program. I graduated in 8 and I went straight to work. In my later years, I did do a semester at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn.
Okay, so for me, after I graduated from Truman, I went to trade school. I went to
Okay.
Center for the Media Arts in the Chelsea section of Manhattan. My first
Mm-hmm.
choice was radio broadcasting, but then I got turned down by the first choice. So the least one was graphic art and design. Now, I can share this with you. My late paternal uncle on my late father's side of the family, I'm from the first marriage, my mom's first husband. He was working in advertising art and design, and he once worked at an advertising studio that was founded by the daughter of the late Chico Marx of the Marx Brothers.
Oh.
And he was best known for doing that Muriel cigar commercial. And by that time, Disney was getting ready to sign him. But unfortunately, my late father and my uncles and their brother in law, they both sent off to the Korean War. So
Oh.
radio kept calling me after I graduated from trade school. I was there for 2 years. The first term
Mm-hmm.
was art and design, and the second one was TV art and computer graphics. So we had to do some design works for anything for some shows or news or anything like that. But radio kept calling me because I was not happy what was going on in the radio stations. So that's how I got involved. So when I told my mom that I was going to be in radio broadcasting, she thought I was nuts.
No.
She was concerned about the paycheck. Does the radio
Of
take care of
course.
your paycheck? Are you coming home some little paycheck and stuff like that? Social Security and stuff? So my late mother had worked in a hospital. So
Uh,
she once worked at Coney Island Hospital in Brooklyn and then later came back to the Bronx and worked at the old Lincoln Hospital where it used to be on Bruckner and Southern Boulevard right by St. Mary's Park. And her sister, my maternal aunt, had lived in those apartments on East 141st Street and then later moved to Cypress Avenue. So
oh
she
yeah.
usually dropped me off while she had to work overtime, double time, triple time. And then in 1972, she moved to Jacoby Hospital back then it was known as Bronx Municipal Hospital, where you had Jacoby and you had Van Etten and you had that other brown building in the middle. It was some like
Uh-huh.
educational center, the Rose F. Kennedy Center. And there was another building where I later went to the YMCA in 1981, and I was using their facilities back in
Hmm.
1981. Now, who did you want it to be when you grow up?
I don't know. I think I always knew I wanted to be with kids and teach kids. At one time, I wanted to be a
And
social worker, but I think I'd take every one of them home with me. I'd be too sad to do that job.
now, I have to go back when you where your talents are at. I mean, when we had the talent show in the fifth grade, I've seen you playing the acoustic guitar. I was like, whoa, this girl got talent. How old were you when you played the acoustic guitar?
I want to say I was about 10. We took lessons from, I know you, Joanne Cupiola. We took lessons from her mom. I used to go, me and my brother used to go. But it was really never my thing. My thing was the dancing.
Okay. Now, how old were you when you started dancing?
7. I was
Was
7.
Wow. Was being a dancer your calling?
Definitely being a dancer was my calling. I'm still doing it till today.
Okay.
I teach lessons, I take lessons, I'm part of a theater company. So I keep busy with it.
Now, growing up, what were some of your favorite music radio stations from back in the day?
95.5, Z100, 98.7. I'm sure there are others, but can't can't remember them.
Yeah, because me growing up, after I was moved to the Bronx when my parents were divorced in the summer of 1969, it was me and my late mom and my late older sister. We was moved to the Bronx, and my late mother had a boyfriend from Chicago. She didn't tell me until 2009. But we once lived on Harrison Avenue on the west side of the Bronx. We be in the car. We be listening to WLIB. It was all soul music, and their sister
Hmm.
station 107.5
But
WBLS, and then we was listening to WWRL, and then we would be scanning to some other stations. We was listening to WTFM and WRFM. That was the beautiful elevator music. And
uh-huh.
back in 1972, we was listening to WRBR. That was jazz. And then by 72, 73, me and mom, we was in the car. We was listening to the other stations. We was listening to WABC, Music Radio 77, and
Oh, see, I forgot about
WNBC
that.
66. And then we was listening to 99X, which was 98.7 WRR that later changed
But
to Kiss FM. And
mm-hmm.
then we was listening to WPIX FM when it was changing different formats back then. It was top 40, then I went to rock, then I went back to top 40, and then later it became CD 101.9, all jazz. And then one time when I was on the school bus going to private school, the bus driver had on AM 1050 WHN. That was all country 24/7. And then my late maternal grandfather at the time in 1978 in July, he had on AM 1050 WHN. And I keep saying to myself, why are we listening to this? We don't
Country
listen to
music.
country music. And if I would have asked my late grandfather, he would have said that country music was made by us black folks. And I said, okay, then why are we still listening to this? Because the only brother that I know from country music was Charlie Pride. And that's all I know. But there was some country singers that I liked in the later 70s, Kenny Rogers and Crystal
Yeah, I was
Gale.
never too much into the country music. My family listens to it. Me, not so much.
Uh-huh. Yes. Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite singers and dancers?
Okay, so some of my favorite singers. I can't say I had a fit. Well, singers, I liked Madonna. I liked Prince. I loved Michael Jackson. Um, Gloria Gaynor, Whitney Houston. Dancers, Sid Charisse, Fred Astaire. Uh, what's the other guy's name? Dan O'Connor? Dan O'Connor.
Yeah, Donald O'Connor. Yeah.
Donald
I, re- I,
O'Connor,
re-
yes.
Yeah, I remember those dancers, growing up. I'm watching, old movies on local stations when I see Fred Astaire and Donald
Ginger
O'Connor, you
Rogers.
just mentioned. Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, and some other ones, including the Nicholas brothers that I knew later on at that
Famous.
time.
Hmm.
Yes, and those famous tap dancers.
Tap
One time we
dancers, yep.
yeah, tap dancers. I once one time watching the Lawrence Welk show when it moved to syndication, and I see the brother man doing the tap dancing. I was like, oh, okay. Then there's some other music genres that I'd be watching with all the time. Now, who were some of your favorite influences that had inspired you to dance?
My mom just signed me up for dance when I was a little girl, and that was it. I just started it. I don't know if anyone really influenced me. I have influenced my daughter, who has fallen in my footsteps. She teaches at my studio now. So no one really influenced me, but I've influenced her.
Okay. Now, growing up, what was some of your favorite dance shows from back in the day?
All right. Dance Fever, American Bandstand, um, Showtime at the Apollo, the Sha Na Na Show, Soul Train, and I know I hate to admit it, but I used to love watching Lawrence Welk with my grandmother.
Oh, yes. So I mentioned Lawrence Welk, and I've seen all the dances and the tap dances that I just mentioned. And for
Uh-huh.
me, it was American Bandstand, Soul Train, Dance Fever, and
Hmm.
Solid Gold came on.
Oh, Solid
My little
Gold. Yes, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, my little sister Erica be imitating the Solid Gold dancers. She'll
Dancers.
start
I remember
introducing the
that step
top
they used
10.
to do.
Yes, the top 10
Yeah.
countdown, for the week. And, you know, one time I'll be up watching the midnight special, right after Johnny Carson on Friday nights. And others, on Friday nights, Donnie and Marie used to be on Friday nights. And on Saturday, Carol Burnett will be on and
I,
Flip
I used to watch
Wilson.
Carl and the Brady Bunch. They used to have their variety show as well.
Yes, they did have a variety show one time. And I don't know if you noticed that when I once worked at WVOX, they had a Christmas album back then.
Yes, they did.
So I looked at through the pile of all those Christmas LPs. I said, "Oh, Brady Bunch had their own Christmas album. Oh, okay, I'll pick that." And looked some more. The Partridge Family had their Christmas album.
Oh,
And I said,
Partridge
"Let me
Family.
get that." And I said, "Oh, there's some others." So Mike Douglas, the talk show host, he had a Christmas album. And then I looked at some others, and there was Eileen Fulton from As the World Turns. She had a Christmas album. So I once worked at WVOX, and I did the Christmas Eve shift. So when Pix 11 took off the Yule log back in 94, I said it was my chance to do my version of the Yule log.
Ulog.
So, top of the hour, I would play gospel, hymns, and the opera. And then at 20 of, after I play the commercials, I will play the Christmas carols. And then 30 of, I play the commercial. I play Christmas songs from TV, Broadway stage, specials, including Charlie Brown. And there were
Hmm.
some others. And then 20 of, I play my stuff. I will play some Motown, Stax, and Philadelphia International, jazz, and yes, some country Christmas. and then I was started all over again until sign off at 12 midnight. So that was my little Christmas Eve shift at that time.
I love Christmas music. I started listening to it from Halloween until January 6th.
Oh wow. And yeah, and I don't want to leave out Captain and Tennille. They had their own variety show, only one
They
season
did.
on ABC, and of course the Jacksons. Michael,
Yeah.
Marlon, Tito,
Cher,
Jackie, and Randy,
Sonny and
and yes,
Cher.
Cher. They had their variety show too, so I be watching
And
that. You
they
know,
were all great
hmm
shows.
yes, and especially Cher when she comes out with that. Oh my goodness, that dress,
With
that
her,
Bob Mackie design,
with,
every Sunday night when she comes out on stage, boom,
yeah.
different dress, different episode every Sunday night. Now, we have to start back some of our memories at PS 108, and our fifth grade teacher was Mrs. Bender. And then
Do you know she lived in
one
my
time,
building, Miss? She lived in my building, Mrs. Bender.
she did?
Yeah,
Oh,
I lived in Williamsburg Road,
wow.
and she lived in that building with her parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time we was in the lunchroom and we would start doing the square dance. Now, that's not new to me because I've seen all that, and I'm not a big fan of country music, but I have watched episodes of Hee Haw back then when it was on CBS and then it moved to
Yeah.
syndication. So I've seen a couple of those. I always wanted to learn those. And I remember that Bugs Bunny cartoon when doing that square dance. Now bow to your partner, bow to your own, just bounce them down, they'll see do and go to your partner and all that stuff. And that's not new to me. So I know we were rehearsing that and everything. And then we had
We also
to,
used to do the Mayflower. Do you remember the Mayflower? We used to do it in the schoolyard.
yes.
That was like a big deal to be in the Mayflower dance.
Yes. And when we had those dance recitals with those other classes, I know one class that did the hustle. The other class did the Russian dance. Da 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 da
Yes,
da
yes.
da 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 da. And there's some other classes that did other dances from different cultures from all around the world. So with the square dance, I'm no stranger to that because I'm a DJ myself, and I was doing some DJ gigs for the seniors. And the seniors, they love those line dances. And one time, this lady gave me a sheet of all of the line dances. I was like, I don't know all of those. I only know some of the most popularity ones when I go to the clubs on Friday night. The electric slide, the Casper
Mm,
slide, the Cupid shuffle,
good
and the
shuffle.
biker shuffle, and the other ones, the cha cha slide. And when I go to DC visiting my paternal cousins in October, they will have the other version of the cha cha slide. It's called the booty call cha cha slide. It's a remix from Blackstreet, but
Okay.
it was some of those everything. So when I'm in their territory in DC, they would take me
You
to
do.
places all around the clubs in Maryland. You know, go go music. That was their territory in DC. So I visit their territory. Go go music. It wasn't my thing. But once I started listening to it, I was like, oh, okay. So now I,
I
I
could.
got the hang of it. So
Right.
I was kind of get to that. And the new dance that they like, the Jerusalema line dance.
Oh,
And
never heard
that's
of
new
that
coming
one.
from Africa. And I was
Okay.
at the club on like Friday nights, and the DJ will start playing. And one of the ladies says, come on and join us and learn how to do this dance. I said, okay. I was following them. It's kind of like mixture of the electric slide and everything, and the bus stop too. So I got the
Uh,
hang of it. I've learned it. And when I went to different clubs, they were playing that song too. And when I visit my cousins, they were playing it. So I kind of helped them. Just follow me and
uh-huh. I got this.
so. So those are the ones. And also, I did a gig back in December. Now, I had to deal with these new crowd. They don't want to hear those slide dances that I just mentioned. They want to hear the new one, the Beyonce Texas Hold'em line dance.
Love
So
Texas
I
Hold, right,
played
right.
that. They was like, okay, they got me there. So I had to bring some of those memories back there. Now, speaking of PS 108, you mentioned Joanne. Do you still keep in touch with Joanne?
Only through a yearly Christmas card. We exchange Christmas cards every year still.
And and one time when I was tutoring Joanne's mom, she would always help me out, some reports and everything. So she's kind of like a second mother to me and
Yeah, she was.
everything.
Yeah, her name was Ginny.
Okay.
Ginny.
Yes. Now, we just mentioned what's our favorite variety shows. We mentioned Sonny and Cher. I mentioned Carol Burnett and Donnie and Marie
And I
and
used to like
everything.
Star Search. Star Search, that was another one.
Oh yeah, Star Search, the original one with Ed McMahon, and
Yes.
so many stars have became stars. I watched a couple of them. Britney Spears and
Right.
comedian Dave Chappelle, just to name a few that went on to superstardom. And we mentioned Showtime at the Apollo. I'd be staying up right after I watch Saturday
That was
Night
on Friday
Live.
nights, right? I think it was Friday nights. The Apollo, Showtime
Showtime
at
at
the
the
Apollo.
Apollo was on Saturday nights.
Oh,
Friday
Saturday
night
night. Okay,
videos.
sorry.
Friday night videos was on Friday nights. It came
Okay.
on right after Johnny Carson. So I watched some Friday night videos. So we didn't have cable back then. So
Neither did
I'll be
we.
watching Friday night videos on Friday night on NBC, and there were some other shows on the weekend in syndication. So I wasn't into the music videos, but then I just got hooked to it. I said, "Oh, okay." Every
Yeah,
music
yeah.
video has a story to tell, but sometimes you have those singers kind of spoofing on those others, spoofing off from some others. I'm like, yeah, not for me.
Mm, yeah.
Now, let's talk about your dance recital, and we're going to move forward. This was June 1986, and this was at
Mm-hmm.
the Mount Vernon School in Mount Vernon, New York. It was me and my mom and my granny. We went to see my little sister Erica, who was in a dance recital, and I bumped into some of my former tenants, and they used to live on East 226th Street. They moved in back in the spring of 1973. They were from Jamaica, West Indies, and they were my babysitters. So when I saw them again in 1985, their daughter was in the dance recital. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was in the audience sitting with my mom and my granny, and I looked at the program and said, "There's my little
Um,
sister. She was in that dance recital number." And then before the intermission, your name popped up. I was like, "Debbie, Debbie." I
so,
was like,
uh,
"Does she remember me?" I don't know if she remembered me. I was in the audience. She may not remember me. I was like, "You was dancing the night away." I was like, "Oh my goodness, what was that?"
so, so I actually went to Andrea's dance studio in the Bronx on Morris Park. Our teacher also taught at Miss Dorothy's dance studio. And he told Miss Dorothy, he goes, I have a special troupe if you want them to come perform at your show. So that's what we were doing at Miss Dorothy's. We went there to perform our. Did we do In the Stone by Earth, Wind, and Fire? Do you remember? We,
Um, I think so.
well, we did La Bamba. It might have done both of them.
Hmm.
So we were like the special entertainment at her show.
Mm, yes. So when I first saw your name, I was like, Debbie, does she remember me? She doesn't see me in the audience. I was like, oh my goodness. You dance, girl. You
Thank
really
you.
dance. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All righty. Now, here's a question that I always ask my guest. Living or dead, who were some of your favorite singers that you wanted to meet? And who were some of your favorite dancers that you wish you wanted to perform with?
I would have loved to perform with Sid Charisse. I actually met Rita Moreno. Um, Who else? Judy Garland, Prince. I would love to dance with any of them. I would love to have shared a stage with any of them.
Yes, and yeah, and Judy Garland, Wizard of Oz, and daughter Liza Minnelli,
Yeah.
Cabaret. I never
Yeah.
seen the movie Cabaret. I just usually see her in some specials. And the last time I saw Liza Minnelli, she was in that Snickers commercial with Aretha Franklin in the car. I was like,
Oh, yes.
oh, okay, in the car. First Aretha and then Liza Minnelli.
Yes, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Eat a Snickers, right? That was the Eat a Snickers
Yes.
commercial.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, wow. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, I always ask my guests, who are your favorite top 10 artists of all time? Now, since this is a dance disco episode, we're going to be doing the top 10 disco artists of all time. Now, here's how it works. We started like
Okay.
a top 10 countdown, like America's Top 10, Casey Kasem. We will start at number 10. We always figure out who was the best artist but didn't get that much recognition. And then we work to the top 5 of who was the best top artist of all time. That artist
Okay.
had the top 10 number 1 hits on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, or the R&B Black Singles charts, or the Disco Dance charts. That album received gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum. That artist performed on American Bandstand or Soul Train or Solid Gold or the Midnight Special or NBC Saturday Night Live, or that artist performed on PBS during Pledge Month, or did they performed on those primetime specials? Was on CBS or NBC or ABC? Or did they have that live concert special on HBO or Showtime? Or did they had that rerun special on VH1 back then? So, Debbie, I'm
Wow,
gonna
you've
put
triggered a
you.
lot of memories.
Yeah, because I grew up on all the major networks all my life. Because you see, Saturday mornings, I be watching my cartoons, including
uh,
the Jackson 5 and the Osmonds. Saturday morning on ABC. By the
and what
time
about Fat
11 o'clock
Albert?
comes, yes, Fat Albert too. And I remember back then, the Archies and the Flintstones and the Jetsons, and
Tom and
Muhammad
Jerry.
Ali. And Muhammad Ali had his own cartoon show. Mr. T had his own cartoon show. Kid and Play had their own cartoon show, and MC Hammer, they had their own cartoon show. By the time when 11 o'clock comes, my mom had to change the channel and watch Soul Train. So I had to sit there with her all the time, especially when they do the Soul Train line. Because when I visit my cousins, we do the Soul Train line.
And
When
like,
I be at different clubs, they go off somewhere. So other things like that. But I'm gonna start off with my top 10 disco artists of all time. So I'm gonna
okay.
put down Thelma Houston at number 10. She's best known for her number 1 hit, the remake of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes' "Don't Leave Me This Way." Won
I
her a
love it.
Grammy Award, and then later had some other hits, including "You Used to Hold Me So Tight" back in the 80s, but didn't get that recognition. So I'm going to put Thelma Houston at number 10. And no,
Okay.
Thelma Houston is not related to Whitney or Sissy or Dionne Warwick. It's another Houston that lives in the Midwest. Now, number 9, I had to put down Philadelphia International Records because they both came on the disco scene as well. All the artists from the OJs and Teddy Pendergrass and Lou Rawls and Dee Dee Sharp and the Jones Girls and their house band MFSB, they were on the disco scene. So they kept up with the times, and that was founded by Gamble and Huff, and they were part of the CBS family back then. So I know some of their songs were used in commercials and, yes, in some movies, including Saturday Night Fever. So I put their record label down at number 9. Number 8, Vicky Sue Robinson, best known for a top 10 hit, Turn the Beat Around, back in the
Oh,
summer of 76. And yes, she's
still
one of
my
the,
one of my favorite songs.
yes, one of my favorites. So the late Vicky Sue Robinson at number 8. Number 7, Gloria Gaynor. I remember
I have her
her back
down.
in the I remember her back in the early 70s with her debut song, You My Honeybee, then did the remake of Never Can Say Goodbye disco version, then Casanova
Love that.
Brown,
Yeah.
and then later at the end of the 70s, her number one hit, I Will Survive, number one hit back in the fall of 1979, and she did some others during the 80s, so I'll put Gloria Gaynor at number 7. Number 6, Yvonne Elliman, best known for a number one hit, If I Can't Have You. That
You.
was from the Saturday Night
Yep.
Fever soundtrack. I love that song so much. It was really turning it out. At number 5, I'm putting down Tavares. For their hit, It Only Takes a Minute, and also Check It Out, and also some other ones, including More Than a Woman and Never Loved Like This Before. Those top 10 hits. So I put Tavares at number 5. Number 4, I'm putting down KC and the Sunshine Band.
Sunshine Band. I have that
They
too.
had they had a string of hits back then. Top 10 number one hits. Get
Mm-hmm.
Down Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Way I Like It. Boogie
Oh
Shoes.
yeah.
I'm Your Boogeyman. All that stuff. Yeah. Casey and the Sunshine Band. Put them at number 4. Number 3, I'm putting down Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
I have
Dance
them
with
down
His
too.
Brothers. They had their cartoon show. They had their variety show.
Mm.
Michael had a couple of solo albums when they were with Motown before they moved to CBS Records. Michael had 4 or 5 solo albums: Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous. Top 10 hits, number one hits. He won an American Music Award, Grammys, everything. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with his brothers in 1997 and on solo in 2001. Now, I've seen a few of his music videos, and most of them were like 15 minutes. One of them was Thriller, and
Right.
Vincent Price did the voiceover.
Right.
And then
They're
Bad
mini
came
movies.
on. Yes, he's best known for those mini movies, and another one was Bad. It had
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes in that music video. Martin Scorsese directed that music video. And then the other one was Black and White. That was aired on
Oh,
Fox. And they
I
had
love that video
Macaulay
too.
Culkin and Tyra
Uh-huh.
Banks made a cameo appearance. So when I first saw the whole thing on Fox, after he changed to a black cat and changed back to himself, there was some scenes that, inappropriate, but they had to tone it down when they put it on MTV and VH1. But that music video was a top 10 hit. And also his follow up, Remember the Time, that's when he had Eddie Murphy, Iman, and Magic Johnson in that music video. Let me tell you, it was. So I had to put Michael at number 3. Number 2, I put down Donna Summer, the queen of disco. My late
That's
mother
I
had a
have her
couple
down
of her
too.
albums, Love to Love You Baby, Love Trilogy, just those few. We was in the car on listening to WBLS when they was playing the song Try Me, and it was like 10, 15 minutes long. We couldn't get out of the car. It was the first time hearing that song. And the late Frankie Crocker had played the whole thing. We couldn't stay and finish the rest of the song. But I got a chance to see her in person, 1999. I got an autograph from her. I had to buy an LP called Divas Donna Summer Live. It came on right after Behind the Music back in June of 1999. So I was in Virginia Beach. I was watching the episode and then the concert special. When I came back home, I was online at FYE, which later became, back then was Coconuts. I was online, was going to see Ginger Spice. And then one of the people said, Yo, Donna Summer's in town. It is? I said, skip the ginger spice. I'm going to see a legend. Bye. So I went
Yeah.
to HMV. I had to buy an LP, and Donna Summer got an autograph from her, and I still have the album and the autograph.
Very
And
nice.
after she passed away, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 2013. So rest in peace to the Queen of Disco, Donna Summer. And number one, I had to put down the Bee Gees and their brother Andy
I
Gibb.
have them down too.
You have them
I do.
down too?
I do too. We have a lot of the similar ones.
Oh yeah. So the Bee Gees, they were churning out hits. They had
Hmm.
some hits including Jive Talking, You Should Be Dancing, Staying
All of
Alive
them
for the
great.
Saturday
Yeah.
Night Fever soundtrack, everything. And their brother Andy Gibb, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, and Shadow
Queen.
Dancing. That's the song that I like. Number one, they
Yes.
played it on WBLS. Andy Gibb, Shadow Dancing. Now, that was something. And I be at the Felix Hernandez's Rhythm Soul Review. When I went there back in December of 2019, the day after Christmas, I said, let me do my homework because I did some gigs for the seniors. So let me do my homework and see the attraction of the crowd. It was a diversity crowd. Everybody, white, black, Latino, Asian, Caribbean, Native American, LGBTQ. If you're from 35 to 95, that was the crowd for Felix Hernandez. And the same thing when I went to the Herbert Holler's Freedom Party on the first Friday of the month. Let me tell you, same thing, diversity. It was from age um, 35 to 65. That was my type of crowd. So I be there getting my dance on and
Yeah,
my
your
stuff.
dance on.
Yeah. So you have some of your favorites?
Yeah, I don't know if they're in any particular order, but I'll give you my favorites. I have Donna
Mm-hmm.
Summer. I
Mm-hmm.
have the Bee Gees. I have Sister Sledge.
Mm-hmm.
ABBA. The Jackson
Uh-huh.
5. Gloria
Uh-huh.
Gaynor.
Mm-hmm.
Queen. I like Queen.
Oh yeah.
And Whitney Houston.
Uh-huh. Yeah, especially Queen when BLS play that song, another one bite the dust, you hear that bass boom 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 boom.
Yeah.
You hear that
I don't
bass
think they have
going
one bad
up.
song.
Right. So yo, they
I've danced.
turned.
I've choreographed and danced to many of their songs. Queen,
Oh, wow.
as Whitney and all of them. Donna Summer. I've danced to everybody.
Hmm. Wow. Well, Debbie, it is a pleasure chatting with you on the Black
Thank
Soul
you.
Music Experience podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with
Thank you for
me as
having
we.
me.
You welcome, and we share all of our memories at PS 108, and during the disco era, we was
My
around
favorite
that
time.
time. Yep, my favorite time too, and just praying that a donor will come straight for you. So you're in my prayers.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, now before we go, where
Hmm.
can we follow you for any upcoming events? And give us a quick plug on the
So
activities that's coming up.
I'm on Facebook. That you can find me on Facebook. My page, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, is public. Our Yorktown stage, we have an Instagram. I think it's Yorktown Stage. That's where I teach, and that's where we do our shows. And I'm also part of Spotlight Theater in Putnam Valley. And there's their website. I believe it's stpny.com. Spotlight Theater. stpny.com. Spotlight Theater. And I recently, well, I've been teaching Zumba for 15 years, but I recently have become a Zumba Gold instructor. So Zumba Gold is for senior citizens or people with injuries. And I've just started doing Zumba chair. And it's the most inspiring thing. I was at a assistant living facility, and it was just amazing to be with these women in their 80s and 90s, and they just had such a great time. It was really inspiring.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes. Glad to hear that you're doing very well. And tell your mom I said hi. I
I
always
will.
remember her with the uniform. Thank you
Yes, I will
so
tell
much.
her.
Yes. Download all the artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. Make sure you follow my classmate and my friend, Debbie Pazienza Mellone. She's on Facebook. Also, look for the other websites, including Yorktown Stages. That's in
Instagram.
Instagram. Yorktown
Yes.
Stages on Instagram. Spotlight Theater, their website is stpny.com. And if you're in the area, make sure you go to any of our Zumba classes. I'm telling you, it's never too late or it's never too old to learn some of the favorite dances that we all grew up and enjoy. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this interview, please subscribe by going to the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, dash studio. And yes, I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you had a hard time getting onto riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And yes, I will be posting this episode on YouTube. And please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience. Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me. And please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe by going to riverside.fm/studio/Samuel Wilson Jr.'s studio. And don't forget to check out my audio podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And also check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Visit facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And you can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. As always, parting, remember this: reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care, God bless. Thanks for listening, have a good week, and please be safe.